to the list of the nominees that we're going to engage on Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm speaking on oath, and this is confirmed.
I have no reason to doubt you.
Yes.
My next question is that when
let me conclude my answer. Yes, and this was followed by his directive to the minority whip, who also called the clerk of the committee that Akando should be added.
Now, when you received this call, did you inform the rest of the committee members that you were going to deal with Honorable Akando on that day?
Well, thank you very much. We have chairman and we have ranking. And you know, chairman leads the majority side and ranking leads the minority side. So what I did was to inform my members in the morning that Akando will be added. And then properly, the minority leader also communicated with his members, leading to the minority whip placing a call to the clerk of the committee.
Mr. Chairman, did you find out whether the minority side had been communicated to so far as this additional nominee was concerned?
Well, I do not expect to reach an agreement with the minority leader, out of which the minority whip will call the clerk, and the rest of the members may not be aware. But I'm not in a position to tell whether the other two have been informed, because there were 4 on the committee. So 2 was involved. So it's left with the other 2.
Mr. Chairman, with a little patience, the scaffold that we witnessed could have been prevented. You agree with me on that?
100%.
Now, the case of the minority was that they were being surprised. Were you surprised to hear that they were being ambushed?
I will be highly surprised. Highly, highly surprised.
Severally, you mentioned...
I said so because some of the changes that were made, the minority leader and the whip has instances of making their input on the table. And maybe probably the clerk of the committee will be able to produce that particular record. Because when we agreed, then I would then instruct the clerk that this is what we have agreed upon. So the clerk should have some of those arrangements that were altered by ticking and cancellation. And they can subject it to a forensic to establish that it is in the handwriting of the minority leader and sometimes the whip, the minority whip.
You have said repeatedly that you had gone into conclave with the committee. How many people did you agree to vet on that Thursday?
That Thursday, original list that was not altered was 3. But because we didn't work on Wednesday, the agreement was that they should merge the 2. And after merging the 2, we realized that it is 8. I will not be able to do the 8. So we've taken a decision to do the first 5. And there was a follow-up call that we should add Akando, making 6.
So what about Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa? He was supposed to be the 7th person?
Honorable members, Okujeto Ablakwa was one of the original people to be vetted on Thursday. So if you see his letter slated Thursday.
Honorable First Deputy Speaker, you just mentioned that during your conclave meetings, you've agreed to add Honorable Akando. That will make it 6. And so Honorable Okujeto, even though he has original letter slated for Thursday, because the committee agreed that you are going to have that meeting, that you agree that Akando should be added to the 5 members who are supposed to be vetted on Wednesday, shifted to Thursday. So, in a nutshell, Okujeto was not part of the second agreement that you had with your members.
Thank you very much. This is a very important question. Honorable members of the committee, sometimes some of the nominees take less than 1 hour before us. So the instruction to the clerk of the committee is that she should hold the list of the 8. If you are able to go beyond the 6, then they could also be taken. Because sometimes it's difficult to predict the length of time that the committee will take to vet one person. And having watched the videos, you can agree with me that some people were vetted 45 minutes, less than 1 hour, they are also vetted. So if we are able to use the same approach, it is possible we could even say that, oh, we want to vet 6 people, but looking at the time that we have finished the vetting, is it possible to take the additional 2, meaning that the whole list is exhausted? So we didn't have a block mind on that, going beyond the 6. We never had a block mind on that. And as a matter of fact, if we had even started early and there was no 1 hour delay, we could have even done more than the 6.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that the chaos engendered because of poor planning by the committee.
Well, I am of exception. Exception in the sense that how could poor planning lead to an arrangement of a timetable?
I say poor planning because as of 8 p.m., we still had, and according to the list and what we have received, you still had 2 nominees waiting with their followers, their chiefs, their relatives, and whatnot, as of 8 p.m.
Honorable member, I indicated before the committee that our target is 6. The rest would have been a surplus to the committee, depending upon the way the time was used.
So, it's not my last one. So you say the 6 were, you had planned to vet 6, and 2 more were waiting. So if you had finished, or you were supposed to do the 8 in all. So it was, if we are able to, then the others would be vetted. And therefore you had invited all the nominees to come with their followers.
Honorable member, clearly speaking, because of the backlog, the number went to 8. But before the backlog, the nominees were written to. They were given letters. So it is not the case that we have agreed on the 6 and again issued letter for 2 to be on standby. The number was as a result, because when we agreed on the timetable for the week, the clerk was instructed to give letters according to the calendar agreed upon, according to the program, and then the time frame. So the clerk has already communicated that to them. And it was the 8th for that day was as a result of the backlog, which we'll have to deal with. So it's not the case that they have been written a letter after the backlog to say that we have deliberately invited 8 when we know we can only deal with 6.
Honorable Ahiafor, you insisted when, according to you, some of the minority leaders told you that they were having a caucus meeting, and then you, on your own, found out that there was no caucus meeting. At that point, you went ahead to do the vetting without the minority. Is that correct?
No, it is far from that. Honourable members, I waited and I entered the vetting room exactly at 10 o'clock. That they changed the 9 o'clock to. So we commenced proceeding that day around 10:25.
So if you started on the time that you agreed on, why are you telling us that they said they were going for a caucus meeting and they didn't have a caucus
Honorable
meeting? What is the relevance of that?
The point that I am making is that the scheduled time was 9 o'clock. So around 8:45, I received a call to rather shift the time to 10 o'clock. And for me, a decision to have a caucus may not be taken the very morning. I have been a member of the caucus. How do you reach out to your caucus members to attend meeting? So I became surprised. Yet, I have decided to accommodate by shifting the commencement of the vetting from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And by 10 o'clock, I walk into the vetting room. And we commence vetting around 10:25.
Mr. Chair, what I'm saying is that, don't you think you would have presented it better if you had said that we initially agreed at 9, but later we agreed to commence proceedings at 10. But we started at 10, but some of the members of the minority were late. Don't you think that would have been better?
Honorable Animedu Entry, it will
Please
interest you.
Address the chair.
Honorable Chairman, it will interest you to know that sometimes we would agree to start vetting at 9 o'clock. The majority side will come and be waiting for the minority side.
Well,
you can watch all the proceedings.
Honorable Speaker, even today, we agreed to start at 10, but we started at 10:30.
Yes.
So it's possible.
Yes.
Relax. This is a friendly chat.
I'm more than relaxed.
Honorable Nyimedu, this is your last question.
Well, I will not ask the question again, but I will advise my brother as the chair that with little restraint, I would want the chairman to be very accommodating. And then we can have a free life. Thank you.
This is a free advice.
Thank you very much. But with the free advice, I want to place on record that I have been very tolerant and accommodative.
I know.
As a result of which the general public even have the feeling that my level of tolerance was too much, that I was even weak.
I know the two of you have been friends. And you are brothers. So whether you are tolerant or not tolerant, the two of you know each other. And so please, let's keep it like that. On that note, First Deputy Speaker, we want to discharge you. Thank you very much for attending upon this committee. We will now take Honorable...
Thank you very much for having me.
Honorable Jifar Ablagomashi. Please, we have... This should be not more than 10 minutes. We have other colleagues coming in. They've called that they want to come. And so please let it be as short as possible. Thank you.
And that's a committee set up by the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Simon Babing, to investigate the chaos that erupted the 30th of January 2025, when the vetting got to a point where the two factions, that's the minority side and the majority side, would not agree as to whether the vetting should continue or not. Hence, the chaos that actually led to the destruction of state properties. We'll be going back there where you see that Ahiafor Gomashi is about swearing in or being sworn in to also take her seat and give her account of what she knows what happened that night. We'll be getting you there to give you some more details. But let's come through with other stories where the minority in Parliament is calling on President John Dramani Mahama to withdraw the nomination of Dr. Joseph Esiama as governor of the Bank of Ghana, citing constitutional breach. Now, the minority maintained that the Council of State, which is supposed to approve the nomination, is yet to be constituted. Hence, the nominees' engagement at the BOG is illegal.